Everyone, welcome to your Rangers review. It is your press conference reaction video on this Friday afternoon. We've heard from Barry Ferguson and Cyril Dessers ahead of the trip to Paisley to face St Mirren. And to discuss what was said, Joshua Barry's hot-footed off from the training centre to his humble abode. How's it going, Joshua?
Going fine, mate. Yeah. I was saying to Chris on the way up to today's press conference, I don't know if there's much to talk about today, but that kind of changed when Barry Ferguson spoke. So plenty to get into, even if not so much of that surrounds tomorrow's actual football match.
So before we get stuck in, folks, just a quick word for our podcast sponsors at S1 Jobs. If you're looking to hand in your transfer request, then head over to S1 Jobs. Upload your CV today. There are thousands of jobs across Glasgow, Edinburgh and surrounding areas. You will find the one at S1 Jobs. Right, let's get to it then. The big talking point from Barry's press conference is shock horror. He wants the Rangers job. He was pretty candid about it today when he was asked whether he would like to stay on as Rangers manager. I'm just going to play a snippet, actually, folks, of what he had to say. So here is Barry.
If I get the job, I will make my club a better club. If I don't get the job, I'll still support my club. That's the way I'm looking at it. I've got 5 games to go. The final game's on the 17th of May. My focus is on this next few weeks. There's been a few bumps since I've come in. I knew that was going to be the case, but I wasn't frightened of that. But I know what this club needs.
So there you go, Joshua. He wants the job. What did you make of that comment? And he did say he's not really had any conversations about staying on, about his own future, but he certainly wants it.
Yeah, he does, Derek. And I don't think it's not been a secret, and nor should it have been. Barry Ferguson, I think he's handled his press meetings pretty well. He's not tried to I think, talk himself up too much. He's referenced the fact that he didn't think this opportunity would come along. He admitted today there'll be people with more experience than him, but he has every right to put his name in the ring. With Kevin Thelwell coming in as sporting director, that marks the start of, I guess, ultimately a new decision maker at Rangers. Up until now, it's been the chief executive making those decisions. But it was the most explicit Ferguson has been. And if people watch the press conference in its entirety, they'll see that there's also reference to the fact that he's not had those talks up until now about where his future will lie, but if he doesn't get the Rangers job as manager, it would be his intention to just return to that role, working as an ambassador. He doesn't have the ambition to go and manage elsewhere, and that's why he basically said because it's his club, he believes he knows what is needed, is required to get Rangers back to where they want to be. I think it's unlikely that Barry Ferguson is the Rangers manager next season purely because Kevin Thelwell will look at it alongside other Rangers decision makers and want someone in there that has experience as cut and dry as that is, Derek. And while that's a pretty common argument, that I think is the expectation. But Barry Ferguson is coming in a difficult moment, and he's within his rights to put his name in the ring, and not only did he do that, but he kind of ruled out, as I mentioned there, the prospect of maybe going to work elsewhere at other clubs aside from Rangers. For him, it's either he's going to be in that dugout next season, or he's going to go back to what he said effectively was the nice life he had before, which was working for the club as an ambassador, doing other bits in the media, but not going to manage elsewhere in Scotland or elsewhere in Europe with a bid to come back to Rangers one day. It does feel like a case of he's saying it's now or never for him in this job long term.
Yeah, and I think just reading between the lines and watching them today, I know some had suggested maybe he can be a number 2 perhaps, or stay on in the coaching side of things. I think he has to be the main man, Barry, and supported by, as he has been doing now, by ex-teammates or coaches beside him. I can't see him sticking around as a number 2, but you never know. Interesting comments coming in, as you can imagine, on this. CB89 says, controversial, but I'd take Gerrard back over Ferguson. Bluebells are Blues says, love Barry, and I was all on board with the Baza train, but that ship has sailed. Too many fans will not accept it now, in my opinion. Yeah, I tend to agree as well. I think he would have to have got the better of Athletic Bilbao to be in the conversation. And even then, you'd imagine the new guys that are coming in will already have someone in mind to take over the job. But yeah, he was asked about the takeover, wasn't he, Joshua, today, and how he thinks what that means for Rangers. He sees it as a positive thing.
Yes, yeah. Just firstly, before we go on to that, I don't get the sense that there's going to be too much rotation over the next 5 games, Derek. I think you're right in referencing there that had Rangers got into the Europa League semi-final, the tone of this conversation would be different. But because they have nothing to play for, it was a difficult task at the best of times to win the Europa League in order to get into the Rangers managerial job on a full-time basis. But there's now obviously nothing to play for between now and the end of the season. Barry Ferguson said he set the group a target of getting 15 points from 5 games between now and the end of the season. Emphasised that from his point of view, he's not been afraid to throw young players in. He obviously started Bailey Rice in the first leg of that quarterfinal, didn't he? But people can make their own minds up. I didn't get the sense that we're going to see a team with a raft of changes. I don't think we'll see Xander Hutton at right back, much to your dismay, tomorrow at the Smiza Stadium. I am probably more in line with you that it's time to rotate. It's time to give players an opportunity who might be here next season. I just don't think that's going to be the case between now and May 18th when the season finishes.
Yeah, I just want them to give the supporters something to look forward to. If it's the same old. Incidentally, just on players, you asked him straight away, well, one of the first questions, how's the squad looking? Leon Balogun is out after an operation on his cheek. Ridvan is out for the season. Tom Lawrence is out as well. I wouldn't want Tom Lawrence playing anyway, I've got to be honest. Ridvan not available. Just on the issue of giving young players game time, said it's about winning the last 5 games of the season. You'll find out if I give young players the opportunity. I'm not going to give young players an opportunity just for the sake of young players. They need to show me in training. You've seen over the last maybe 3 or 4 weeks since I've come in. I'm not scared of an opportunity, but as I said, they need to show me enough in training. And if they do that, then they'll certainly be given an opportunity. I've got no issue with that. I'm not saying just give young players a chance because they're young. They do have to obviously turn up in training. I'd imagine they'll be doing that anyway because they'll be itching to play for Rangers and for the first team. Just on players that are not available, we know about Balogun, of course. No issue with that. Ridvan's a problem, Joshua. He needs moved on in the summer.
It looks... even before this injury, I think it's the noises around that have made it look increasingly likely that Ridvan will potentially move on because he always retains interest, and there has been interest in his services really right throughout his whole time at Rangers. But this is the 3rd time I think he's injured his hamstring. If you go all the way back to, you remember one of the first games he started under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was against Aberdeen in a 4-1 win. It was when Van Bronckhorst was under pressure. And Ridvan started the game very well for the first sort of 10 minutes and then tore his hamstring, was out. That was basically a season over. He came back in some post-split fixtures when Michael Beale was the manager. This issue of durability has been so pronounced at Rangers in recent years, Derek. And again, we go back to it. There's been no sporting director here the whole time, different managers, different training styles, different people deciding on the future of players like Ridvan. But I wouldn't disagree with you. I think they need someone in that position who is going to be able to play more consistently than he has. This is another significant injury. And while it doesn't matter between now and the end of the season, you can't rely, I think, on probably the player being fit for however much of next season. And that's, as you say, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah. Shefty, you'd imagine, will start at left back for Rangers tomorrow. Is an issue. Rangers, as well as needing to bring in a right back. We know the interest in Josh Mulligan. They also need to bring in probably a left back as well. You'd imagine.
Yeah. They really do. They do, because you need. I think in an ideal world, when Shefty was signed, he was signed to compete with Ridvan and maybe eventually usurp him. But I think what you have in an ideal world is you have Ridvan's playing well, let's say hypothetically this season. Chefty starts maybe 20 games. You sell Ridvan on, and then Chefty's had a bit of exposure, but not maybe had a full first season as he has this season, and then can take that role next campaign. Now, the experience won't have hurt him, but at points this season, he's maybe suffered a little bit as a consequence of that too. So one of the phrases that I remember someone using was players like Chefty should come in as challengers throughout a season like Rangers was supposed to be. But when you've got a player like Ridvan who you just effectively can't count on to be fit, that plan to maybe not play the player for the entirety of the season, but bed them in somewhat over the campaign, sort of falls down just on the basis of availability.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look at his history of injuries. He's suffered from hamstring problems for a number of years now, has Ridvan, and he is out again for the season. So, yeah, it will be intriguing to see the team that Barry picks tomorrow. Myself and Chris's predicted teams, well, the teams we would like to see will be out on the website tomorrow morning. Like you, Joshua, I think he will go reasonably strong for this game. He's wanting to win in the 5 remaining games. He wants to finish off on a high, I guess. And Cyril Desser's also speaking at the press conference. He wants to remain at Rangers. This is just a little snippet of what Cyril had to say, folks.
For me, I came here 2 summers ago with the ambition to fight for trophies, to win trophies. Now I'm sitting here. We had 2 amazing runs in Europe, but with only 1 trophy, and I don't think that's enough. And I'm really hungry to win more trophies, more silverware at this club. So for me, I'm very keen.
So there you go. So, Joshua, I don't think he's exactly going to say he wants to leave, but he's not hidden the fact that he loves being at Rangers, and he wants to stay.
Yeah, no, we had the story in January, which feels about 1 million years ago, that Rangers had held some preliminary, if I can say that word, talks with clubs who were interested, and actually Cyril Desser's agent came out and discussed that publicly too. He goes into the final 2 years of his contract this summer. He's now 30 years old. He's moved a lot in his career. I would expect, if you had to ask me either way, does he go or does he stay this summer? I think it'd probably be more likely he goes because, again, of that, the time to sell a player when he's 30 years old is when he's got 2 years left on his deal, as opposed to when he's got 1 year left on his deal and he's a year older. He's always going to be a player who will split opinion. We won't go over the whole debate just now. I would like to see Hamza Gaman get game time in that number 9 position between now and the end of the season. Again, will that happen? Not entirely sure, but I guess a continuation of what Dessers has spoken about in the past. He's not naive to the fact that he's moved a lot in his career. He's probably not achieved in terms of trophies what he wanted to at Rangers, definitely. Obviously on track for another pretty decent goal scoring return. And I don't know what you think, but if you were asked, if you're pushing me as to who starts tomorrow at number 9 against St Mirren, I probably think
surely a man.
I don't know. We'll see. I just have a feeling. I mean, I agree with you. You don't need me to tell you that I agree with you. I have a feeling it might just be Cyril Dessers, but we shall see.
Yeah. Lots of comments.
This season is wearing you out. Okay,
I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered with this game, to be honest with you, or the remaining games. I just cannot wait for the season to be done and dusted, and then we can start looking forward to reshaping the squad. I just hope that Barry gives the fans something to look forward to tomorrow. We've seen the tried and tested, they've failed. Let's see something different, please. Louise with a point says that having all the usual starters shouldn't even be in the squad. Ian Young, I'd like Fergie, Dawes and McCann to get a chance next season, especially if they have funds for new players. I think it could work. So that is what Ian thinks. Listen, he has got some supporters, does Barry. We've touched on the show earlier on. We've discussed it previous shows as well. He took over Rangers when they're in a difficult place. It is no easy task to come in at the point that he did. And I think credit to him for the work that he has done so far. There's only so much you can do with this squad. But I just don't think he will be the manager next season. I may be wrong, but it's just speculation, of course, at this point. Again, we need to hear from the new guys what their plans are. But whether Barry is at the helm next season, I would doubt that, I've got to say. Those press conferences you can watch in their entirety over on the YouTube channel, folks. They are available to watch. And Joe Potter also, big match for the women's team over the weekend. They play Aberdeen in a Scottish Cup semi-final this weekend. You spoke to Joshua, an exciting end to the season coming up, the women's team.
Yeah, the contrast in kind of the season ends for the women's team compared to the men's team could not be more drastic. But yeah, Joe Potter, Rangers are obviously so close to winning more trophies last season than they did, and that treble word was used today. She didn't shy away from it. To her credit, and spoke about that deriving more from the group of players than necessarily from her. Obviously, the game against Aberdeen at Hampden Park this weekend, the women's team will also play their kind of penultimate and final fixture at Ibrox before the Women's League ends as well this season. So, yeah, she I thought rather than quite often when managers in this situation and the media are maybe asking them, could you win the treble, they'd kind of say, oh, we'll talk about that, when the season's over. But she didn't shirk away from that. So fair play. Huge games coming up for them. And yeah, they could end the season with a lot of silverware. And as I say, the contrast between what they're going for and the lack of anything to play for in the men's team. I know Barry Ferguson wants 15 points. And if he gets 15 points, if he wins another Old Firm game, that will matter in isolation. When we get to next weekend, Derek, the prospect of Rangers winning another Old Firm, of course it will matter. Of course it will mean something. But ultimately, they're going to end the season trophyless. So when you look back on it, these 15 points, if they are achieved, aren't obviously they're not going to show in the record books. That's just the nature of the season Rangers have had. Barry Ferguson's obviously only picked up the pieces in recent months, but has been unable to do the unthinkable in Europe. And now 5 games for him to try and strengthen, I guess, from his point of view, that claim that he does want the Rangers job.
Yeah, I love this. I want a drop of what Billy's drinking this afternoon. He says it's still mathematically possible for us to win the league this season, so keep believing. In fact, I think we can still win it. So I'm not too sure if he's at the wind-up there, Billy, but I'm sure you're having a fun Friday afternoon. It would be interesting should Rangers win that final Old Firm game and then having won 3 of the 4, yet languishing so far behind Celtic. Make it make sense, as they say. They often say if you win the Old Firm games, then it should be shooty in for the league title. But Rangers have been abysmal. Pretty much it was away from home, of course, for much of the campaign. And then all of a sudden started losing every single game at Ibrox. And five. In fact, the Athletic Bilbao game, that sort of ended that run. Rangers managed to get a draw at Ibrox, which is incredible, really. But
well, they've not won at home, Derek, since February the 2nd. They've scored one goal at home since February the 2nd. So you presume they will win at home before the season ends. But by the time Celtic come to Ibrox, it's going to be 3 months since Rangers last won at Ibrox, which is just,
unheard of.
I don't know. We're not often lost for words. It's just an unbelievable record. So got to try and correct that before the season ends. But based on their recent form at home, who knows?
Yeah. Jimbo says, party at Billy's. Let us know where the party is, Billy. Bluebells at Blue says, let's just hope that lot don't win it at our place. They can win the league. I think it's an early kickoff, isn't it? Tomorrow, where they can win the title. If they don't, they will have the opportunity of doing so at Ibrox. But no matter what the situation is, nothing will ever top the 99 game because when Rangers went over there and won the league title 3-0, that is the way to win leagues. Really was sensational. But there you go. You want your butt in there, Joshua?
No, I don't think I was even born for that game. So I know about it in folklore, but
what a game! What we should do over the summer is you should go and watch that back and we'll do a detailed analysis of that game. It was a glorious evening It certainly was across the city. Jim McKerrow, he says, Derek, big day tomorrow for your pal Neil Warnock at Torquay United. Chance of automatic promotion from the dizzy heights of the National League South. A bit of a climax down there in what is the National League, of course, the Vauxhall Conference in Old Money. So, good luck to Neil and Torquay, famous old club from back in the day. So hopefully they can do the business. Ever been to Torquay, Joshua?
No. Is it south?
It's south. It's down near Newquay sort of esque. Lovely part of the world down there. It's almost like a different country.
I didn't know that Neil Warnock was back in the game.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if he's a manager there or just the sporting director or what have you, but he is involved down there. Jim says for family reasons, they're actually my second team. So there you go. Famous old club as Torquay United. Right, we digress, but we'll wrap up there. Big thank you to Joshua as ever. Are you heading along to the Gate Yard tomorrow, Joshua?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I'll be there. Myself and Chris will be bringing people all the coverage they could possibly want from this from this fixture. But listen, as ever, there'll still be stuff to talk about. It's still a football game in which Rangers are involved in. So we'll be live pre-match from the Smiza Stadium and post-match as well, bringing people reaction from what Barry Ferguson has to say. So, join us then.
Yep, good stuff. Right, enjoy your Friday, folks, and we'll speak to you later on. Bye for now.